Sasol may invest $10 billion in Indonesia. The rand comes under further pressure. Renet confirms its investment in Lehman Fund. And UBS sees no rebound in commodity or emerging market currencies anytime soon. The oil share dropped 0.2% to 22,183 today, with gold shares leading the fall. At the moment, in your commodities, gold at $824.30 a fine ounce.
Sorry, that's 0.2%, not 2%.
Sorry,
surely.
0.2%, yes. Barrel of Brent will cost you $42.64, and in your currencies, a dollar will cost you R10.06, a pound 14.94, and a euro 13.40.
Thanks, Jeff. You know those little pesky little
Commas and decimal
kind of
points.
get in the place. But we don't give anybody a heart attack on this first day back at work.
Some people got to have it. Some people really
First day back at work for David Shapiro, not for Sunshine and I. In fact, Sunshine's been back at work. I think he worked the whole of December and the whole of January. But David, you've been flitting around the world, picking up the mood.
Yeah, not a good mood. In fact, wherever you go, I was in Australia mainly, in Boston, in the UK as well. And I think people there are surrounded. You know, the media doesn't stop. They're just surrounded by bad news, job losses, companies going in, the scandals. I think this Madoff scandal, everyone's obsessed about it in the United States. People that we know have lost everything that they owned. All their wealth is gone. It's an awful, awful scandal, and I think it's also added to the stresses, in the financial world. But there's a lot to get through. A lot of pressure on Obama. He's coming in with a huge responsibility. He's continually talking about this package and hopes that Congress allows it to go through. It's 780 billion odd. So a lot of hope on Obama, on him being able to turn it around. So I think it's going to be a tough year to get through for all of us. It's not going to be easy sailing.
Yeah, the great hope for the world as a whole. And who would have thought that it was a man in his early 40s, written a couple of books. Did you get a chance to read any of his
No, I
biographies?
haven't. No.
Writes very well. And there's another great book that you got to think about. Nick Binnedal sent it to me called Outliers.
I read it.
Wasn't it?
I read
awesome?
it. I read it. In fact, I read it from Singapore to Sydney. It's outstanding. It's an absolute. It's by Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote The Tipping Point. But this is well worth reading.
Thanks, Nick, for sending that to me. It also opened my eyes on a lot of things. So there's a couple of books, in fact 3 books for you to put onto your list if you haven't had enough reading done over this period, because you're going to have to work pretty hard to understand what's happening in the next few months ahead. David, a good friend of mine who's got businesses all over the world was telling me today, don't watch Sky News, don't watch CNN, because it does give you a distorted picture. There are parts of the world that are doing okay. There are other parts of the world, he says, in his business that are not doing quite as well, but it certainly isn't disaster.
No, certainly the emerging markets are not a disaster, and I think we're tending to write them off prematurely. They're still functioning pretty well. They're still in positive growth. I still think they've got enough reserves within them to actually spend their way out of trouble, or spend their way partially out of trouble. I think it's more the developed world that seems to be floundering.
Did you also see there's pockets that are doing well? For instance, Toyotas, and Hubert Brody's here from Imperial. He'll be able to confirm this later. Toyotas are selling, but BMWs aren't, for instance.
Yeah.
Certain day-to-day stuff is doing okay, but the luxury end coming under pressure. Did you see that as well in your
I
travels?
think that what I saw wherever we went, there were huge sales. Alec, not down 25%. This is down 70, 80%. So you could see the overcapacity that has built up in every sector of the market. I'm talking mainly in the retail, but whether it was motor cars, whether it was luxury goods, luxury goods don't mark down. The big ones like Hermes or all the Richemont companies, they don't mark down because that's how they protect their
They
brand.
just go out of business like Waterford.
Well, though they will do that. They will protect their brand, Cartier, etc. But the Gaps, the Banana Republics, all these, you go into Selfridges, etc. You just see stuff being thrown away.
Why do you think it hasn't hit the South African retail sector to the same degree?
I can't imagine why not. I think I'm not sure. It's baffling. It's something that troubles us, and I think we're going to see in the results, because the results that have come out have been fairly good. They haven't been too bad. Maybe we're a lot better off than we actually think we are.